This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk4Media.
Okay, so I'm like shining myself.
Yeah, and de-shining me.
A little bit, yeah.
No,
I get sweaty every week. It's gross.
It's so hot in here.
Well, I screwed my makeup. I know, I screwed my makeup. I've got like 2 different eyebrows. I forgot to rub in the white under my eyes, so I look like I've been punched in both eyes. Or I look like I'm from the 1960s.
What's the 1960s look?
Oh, it's a whole white thing. I've got like, white eyeliner, white everything. It's like a whole mod look. I forgot to put the scarf in my hair that's supposed to go on. You've over backlit me, so I'm like glowing. And I do not look like an angel.
Like an angel. There you go.
Ask where I can put this brush.
What? It doesn't go. That hole's too small.
So essentially, it's been a weird week. We had a bunch of stuff we were supposed to go over with you, but I don't have that info. We were originally supposed to have Teresa and Louis from the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Wonderful people.
Amazing people, but they're having some personal stuff.
Right.
I think he's secretly pregnant.
He is secretly pregnant.
I'm trying to get Kimberly to give me some
He makes it look good if that's
Find
the
them
case.
anywhere. Straight bag anywhere. To go bag for work, maybe. So anyway, I think he's secretly pregnant and he must have morning sickness. No, he's got some personal stuff. Amazing people. I really, really like them. I hope we are live on YouTube. I apologize. I know we had some issues last week with people getting into talking to us live.
Right.
So this week we are going to have on Kink4Dummies, mostly because I work with Alexis. So she's pretty good to get immediately.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with last minute alterations.
She's a good one. And let's face it, talking about sex is sort of something that people are into anyway. So it works.
Usually, yes.
Though admittedly, she's the one that forgot the summaries for the stuff we had to talk about. So now I don't know what to talk about before the show. It was going to be Meghan Markle.
We can talk about Meghan Markle anyways. There's a lot to talk about with those guys.
Really?
Her and Harry both, actually, especially as of late. It's as of lately because they had the whole incident with the in Nigeria, right, where she was just like, it was in their eyes unclothed or what was?
Oh yeah, they thought she was naked. So essentially. So for those that don't know, Nigeria is a super conservative country. Amazing people, beautiful fashion.
Great fighters.
Pardon?
I said great fighters.
I guess. I've never fought anyone from Nigeria. You did. But yeah, you did. But basically, I think for me, it was, she put out a speech saying we don't need to be like those Hollywood actresses right after Meghan Markle went in and said she was like the new gold standard for women to look up to.
Oh, right.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a social climber, look up to Meghan Markle. And what I will do next week, I will have my info together and I will actually tell you how she's socially climbed, like who she met, what she did. And I am not against social climbing. I'm all for it.
Can we talk about like the brief idea that we have? Because I know it was like what a producer and actor.
I'd rather give the right information.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it next week. But so this week she's butt ass naked by Nigerian standards, giving this talk. Looked like she was dressed like a flamingo dancer. She's got skin on skin. Now, for a conservative country, think skin, right? If I don't know you and I'm touching you and I'm hugging you and I'm taking photos with you, like, do you really want to be pressed up against my naked body?
If you don't know them.
Thank you.
Probably.
I'm going to fix my white eyeliner on camera.
You're using the camera to
do I am. You're being really judgy.
Don't stick it in your eye.
Anyway, thank you, Kimmy.
Yeah, shout out to Kimmy, our wonderful assistant today.
Yep. So
I'm intrigued by watching you do that.
Anyway.
So,
I mean, okay, if I was like half naked and rubbing against you and hugging you, would you?
I know you and I love you. So, yes, let's do that. Not on camera, please.
We do not run an OnlyFans.
Yeah, well, no.
See the difference? This is how it's supposed to look. And this is what it looks like before I started. Look.
Look back at the camera. It almost looks like you're bleeding white from your eyes. Or like you're crying white from
Nobody
your
likes
eyeball.
you. Anyway, so my makeup was half done. I have 2 different eyebrows. I don't have the information that I promised y'all about Meghan Markle. We'll have that next week. But I will say this, and I didn't deliver on Real Housewives. I'm batting 100 this week.
Well, hold on, that one's not necessarily your fault.
It's
no one's to
because
blame.
Louis
Life
is
happens, but it
pregnant.
doesn't.
I told you, Louis is pregnant.
All the more reason why you can't be blamed for that. You had no possible role in that situation.
Exactly. You don't know. I could have got Louis pregnant.
Now we're talking about seahorses.
I do really like his wife. I wouldn't get Louis pregnant.
Okay, well,
I'd get you pregnant,
that's very kind of you. Considering the fact that was impossible anyway. It's very nice of you to make that clear.
Teresa is so sweet.
No, their whole family is, the whole setup is. Anytime we've been in contact with them, they've been very wonderful people.
Really down to earth.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm pitching a show with them.
That's something I like too. We're talking about
is it better? Is it even now?
What? Yeah, you look fine.
Okay. So I'm pitching a show with them to Bravo. Don't tell anyone. It's a secret. Nobody knows except Louis and Teresa, and now you guys.
But speaking of famous people in general, people of notoriety, I think when you reach a certain point, there's no need for the whole flashy, I'm important type of behavior. You're never...
I don't think there's ever a need
better
for that.
than anyone else. That's realistic.
Okay, so that's an old adage. It's not the people that have made it that try and show you how important they are. It's the people that think they have or are trying to show you they have. So one of the biggest things I hate ego. I can be a real bitch. That's not really a surprise. I have a mate of mine that works over at CNN, Kati.
Was it ESPN or CNN?
ESPN.
ESPN.
She's over at ESPN. Bear's in love with her boyfriend. It's a little creepy.
He loves Star Wars and fantasy, and we play video games, so it works out very well.
I think she should take over for Bob Iger. I'm just saying.
Bob Iger?
Yeah, he's the head of Disney.
He's the head of Disney?
Yes.
So
I think she should work with, like I did with Paul, she should work with Bob Iger, become Bob Iger's protege, and take over.
So he's the reason why we have Star Wars Acolyte.
And you love Bob Iger because I love Bob Iger.
I love Bob Iger, and I really hope Kati gets to replace him.
Anyway, so essentially the way this works in Hollywood is I learned from Paul. Everyone kind of knew me as Paul's girl. I do everything. Paul was he was the exec from Paramount to Viacom. I worked with Brad as well for a very long time.
I don't know who Brad is. We don't know who these people are. Can you explain them a little bit more?
Well, Brad was the head of Paramount.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like head of Paramount, and the other guy was
the head of Paramount and Viacom.
Okay.
So anyway, so they trained me. I work just like them. I'm very good at it. You kind of end up like whoever trained you.
Right. You take on.
So I want her to go work with Bob Iger, but don't tell anyone because she's amazing over at ESPN. Like she really is. She's incredible. She and I are talking about a couple of reality shows. She's dope. But thank you. Yana likes my lipstick color. Mwah. So for those that don't know, Yana on here is my friend and my business partner. We work together. She also manages Bear. That part doesn't count though.
No, she does great at that one.
I know she does, but you're not a person, so it doesn't matter. You're a product. The point is, in Hollywood, everyone's a product.
Just say what you want.
Everyone's a product, and that's where Meghan Markle comes in.
Okay.
She just learned to take her yacht girl persona and fuck her way to princesshood.
She was a yacht girl.
She was a yacht girl in Cannes.
Can you tell me again what a yacht girl is?
Ugh, they wouldn't let me do it. It was rude. So what they let you do, you get invited and you get paid to go hang out on yachts with millionaires and knock boots. It's basically a highly paid prostitute.
Okay.
Victoria's Secret was really kind of dicks about it. They didn't let any of their girls go. So
they didn't want you to be prostitutes.
Well, it's more than that. So when you go to parties, sometimes, people screw around or do drugs or any of that. Victoria's Secret didn't allow any of that. So they'd send us to these press events together, not let us out of their sight and have us leave together because they were trying to, at this point in time, this is like 2005 to 2010. They had like this whole clean cut image thing going on. So they were pretty clear on what you could and couldn't do. And we couldn't do anyone or anything.
Would they still be considered like clean cut
Not
at this point?
anymore.
What are they?
They've now got girls with tattoos. They didn't used to allow it. They've now got plus size models, but not like the, yay, look, I'm healthy plus size. They've got like the
morbidly obese.
That's not a thing. And then they wouldn't allow trans models, which I thought was stupid because the whole point of Victoria's Secret is that it's a fantasy. Like I had no problem with the amount that I had to work out for them. I really didn't. I was quite proud to have worked with them.
Okay.
And I wasn't even one of their important girls.
What was it? You weren't an angel. You were just a model.
I think I'm an angel.
we see the light behind you. We know you are.
Mm-hmm. And horns.
Horns.
But I wasn't one of their important girls. Don't get me wrong. I've worn the wings. I've done the photo shoots, but it was a very select category that was an angel.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't one.
Well, because they had 400. They had at the time 400 women on the roster or something to that effect. I'm sure not every single one was going to be an angel.
No, they weren't. There were like 10 that were.
Really, only 10?
Yeah, it was pretty fucking limited. Miranda Kerr was there. Naomi Campbell was there. By the way, I know Naomi Campbell gets a raw deal. Every time I ever met her, she was amazing. Mm-hmm. So everyone has Kitty Angel. I like that. Everyone has a different kind of viewpoint on it. They didn't like Victoria's Secret because they thought it gave an unrealistic body image. Well, I can tell you that was my body. It wasn't like it was a different body. It wasn't unrealistic. I didn't have surgery to get there. I didn't do any of that. I had surgery to fix my nose, but then I busted it again. Right. If you guys look, I have a lump here. I cracked my nose again. I don't even want to admit it to my plastic surgeon because I just got it fixed. Then I broke my hand. Then I hurt my foot. It's his fault. Then I had a little too much to drink the other night and fell over and flashed everyone and twisted my ankle. I never drink. And for the last 2 days I have been. So I think,
no, why have you been drinking though?
Because you're a bad influence on me.
Because you've been hanging out and having a good time and being the life of the party, right?
Oh, I'm certainly not the life of the party. That definitely goes to Lex and Kati.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're just not there. You ran away with her boyfriend. He's going to leave me for my friend's fiance. And if he doesn't leave me for Kati's fiance, he's leaving me for Yana's husband. It's rude.
Why do you keep bringing around people who have like just awesome partners?
I'd like to welcome to the show Kink4Dummies. If we're going to talk about leaving people for weird shit, then let's talk about it with Kink4Dummies rather than leaving me for Star Wars.
That sounds like a much better plan.
I didn't think you would hear me over her.
Alexis Romero, she is the host of Kink4Dummies, and also why we don't have that Meghan Markle information.
Yes. Hi.
Hey, what's that photo in the background?
Oh, that's Summer's dad.
Okay. Yeah, my mom drew it. That's why I brought up the Meghan Markle thing. I figured if she's going to be spiteful and put my dad's ass on television, I'm going to talk about every mistake she's made this week. I have a list.
Actually, I'm sure you do, and it is extensive. It's been a very, very uneventful week and rather eventful at the same time.
Absolutely.
Did you have a stroke? That makes no sense. It's a very
exactly what I mean, though.
It's like that. The fish doesn't taste like fish at all, but it has that nice fish flavor.
Exactly. See, you get it.
No, I don't. No normal person does. Though I do. Kati did suggest we go after A Crown of Roses. What is that book?
A Crown of Roses.
Oh, A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah, she said it's great. Lex is actually going to take her over our Hades and Persephone books that we are turning into a series because she really likes the like hot girl summer books.
Hot girl summer books? What's that?
Porn, babe.
Oh, did you guys' version
porn.
of porn? Girl porn.
Yeah, it's sexy, hot, rich guy, good.
Spicy novels.
Spice novels, yeah. Lex isn't into like the 50 Shades kind.
Yeah.
But she does think it is an excellent example for those that want to get into the BDSM community.
I hate you so much.
And speaking of the BDSM community, why don't you tell people what Kink4Dummies is?
Kink4Dummies is an educational platform so that people can share and learn educational kink, but the actual information behind it.
Well, let's start with that question. What is educational kink?
It is essentially information based on kink, about kink.
There you go. It's before we move any further, instead of ignoring audience questions this week, I actually had 2 of them for you two both from people who I live stream with, and they actually seen you both respectively on camera or hosting one of my lives. So the first question is, how did you two actually meet each other?
Oh, I told Alexis I wouldn't give her a job.
And I told her
elaborate on that.
I just essentially wouldn't go away.
So Alexis came in. I was working in Sedona, Arizona with the city doing a television show. Mm-hmm. And she came in and she looked at me and she said, your skirt costs more than my car. I don't know what you do, but I want to do that. I want the job as your assistant. And I was like, no, I need someone with experience. And she said, look, hire me and I will work harder for you than anyone ever has. I want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. And then like a month later, she was so proud because people couldn't tell the difference between her handbag and mine. That was about a year later. Yeah. I don't know why she was so excited by that.
I think in her mind, that was, I don't want to speak for you. Why were you excited by that?
Because for me, Summer was the example of the life I wanted to live. So by having somebody not be able to tell the difference between her handbag and mine meant that I had reached the level that I wanted to be at that point in time.
Hell yeah.
It was a bougie money thing.
Because
the handbags are massively overpriced.
For some people, that means the world. And I think that's wonderful. That's how you set your standard, is by the value of what you can carry with yourself.
What I'm hearing is buy you more handbags.
Alexis, sure, if you want.
Yeah, no, I just got her an Yves Saint Laurent. Like,
there you go.
It is gorgeous too. Thank you.
And then the other question that they were curious about is just for you, Alexis, and that is kink actually fulfilling? Does it do something for you long term as far as relationships, personal, anything?
Before we answer that,
sure.
What kind of kink are you into? So everyone knows. Who are you? What are you? What do you like?
So I am a dome, a dominatrix. It's something that
I like. All purses for everyone. Yes, I agree, Yana. I will get you purses too.
I'm a dominatrix. I am essentially a female dominant, and I don't know what the other question was. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. I think everyone has kinks. Like, okay, what are your kinks? What are you into?
I have a plethora of them. I love bondage. Bit of a sadist, but not to an extent. I would essentially be a pleasure dom.
What does that mean?
A pleasure dom likes to create different scenarios that entice a great deal of pleasure rather than more so pain. It would be more pleasure to pain rather than pain for pleasure.
Okay, hang on. That doesn't make sense. I've been accused of that. Most girls have, where you fool around with the guy and then he gets sore and you leave.
Yeah, it's different.
He used to yell at me for that all the time. He never yelled, but I'm just saying, like, that just kind of sounds like you don't want to sleep with them, so you bail out halfway through, and then they complain that it's uncomfortable and have to deal with stuff themselves.
Wait, you only bail halfway through if they're absolutely terrible.
No, I just didn't want to fool around.
Yep, but carrot up the nose is not a great premise.
It really is. Sex is like jamming a carrot up your nose. It does not matter how much you grease up that carrot. It's not going to feel good.
You're doing
I imagine being a pleasure dom, you come across situations where you think to yourself, man, I'm not willing to do that for this guy's pleasure or this girl's pleasure. So
tell them about the guy that you went out with. Hang on, we will get there.
Okay.
Before the weird stalker showed up,
okay.
what his interest was. Don't say who though. And then we'll go into Bear's kinks and my kinks and everyone else's kinks.
The weird stalker?
Yeah, you had that weird guy you had to get the restraining order against show up because he was obsessed with you.
Oh, yeah, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I do. Can I say it?
Sure.
He wanted you to poot on him.
Oh, yes. That is not something I was into.
So he wanted you to fart on him.
Yes.
And were you? You said you're a pleasure dom, so I'm assuming this was a relationship that kind of existed a little bit, and then he said that, and you just noped out.
No, this was date one.
That's date one.
That was the first date.
You don't drop that on the first date. I'm sorry. That's a third or fourth date kind of when
tease. I like Yana. She's like tease.
When things started to become a little bit more committing.
I like to do that.
I think it's reasonable for you to be like, hey, we've already done the deed. I'm kind of into this thing. If you want to continue with me, this is something I need. You don't start before you've even like kissed or held hands. I don't think that's the right move there.
So for me, I'm a sapiosexual, so I have to have an emotional connection.
That's so sapiosexual is
that's what I meant.
Emotional connection is different. So do you need to emotionally connect with the person?
Well, I have to have some sort of an emotional connection, but more so I have to be I have to find them like mentally stimulating.
So you have to be attached to the person. So that's a bit different. So sapiosexual is you have to have a full psychological connection. You are aroused.
Yeah, I don't have to have the full psychological connection.
Okay. See, I do. I actually have to be psychologically connected or I'm not interested. Ask him. Every time I'm mad at him.
I think that's most women though. If you're mad at them, you kind of don't want to do the do with them.
I'd say most women. No, that's not necessarily true. There's people that create drama just to have sexual interactions.
I'm not saying I do that. I'm saying it works really, really well. Moving on.
Clearly.
I don't have to explain myself.
So you have to have a physical and psychological and emotional connection with someone to want to sleep with them. What creates that for you?
Getting to know them.
Really? They could just buy me presents.
Yeah, but you're very materialistic.
Sounds so cheap.
Oh, the presents aren't cheap.
Requires more than presents. I think it's fair to say that if someone just gave you gifts, you would not put out for them.
No, hell no. You have to. So I probably wouldn't put out anyway. But just to hang out with me, I always required. They had to spend a lot of money on me and a lot of time.
Wait, just to hang out with you?
Yeah.
So just to be in your presence.
Beb, you used to show up with like breakfast.
But that's okay.
For Summer and I both.
Yeah, for both of us.
Every single day.
Yep.
But I was trying to date you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's reasonable. You show up, you're trying to put in the effort and make a good impression.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's what I require. So everyone's different, but I am not sexually attracted to men that cannot financially provide.
Okay.
And I make a lot of money, so you better make more money than me. I am not attracted to men that, so I make money. I want a man to make more. I do a hard job. I work long hours. I require a guy that's successful in his own career. I want someone that is strong and capable and spends a lot of money and time.
That's interesting. Okay, so now I'm curious for your opinion here. Let's say he is successful or your partner is successful, but they don't make as much money as you. So there's their reaction. What do you think about that? So the guy, he really puts 100% in everywhere. He just isn't as successful because of his choice of work as you are.
Is it leading to success? Is it benefiting the community?
That's a difference. So if it's something that's leading to success, then
or socially beneficial, like if he's working with doctors, supporters. Like she dated a guy, she definitely made more money than the guy that worked in Obama's motorcade, but she was into him.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and say this man is he is the top balloon salesman in his state. He's at the pinnacle of what he can do. He just doesn't make as much as you do.
Balloon salesman?
Pick whatever salesman you want.
Why, if he's selling balloons? Did he invent the balloons?
He could be a water bottle packaging man. I don't know.
About the balloons?
Did he invent the balloon?
He makes designer mugs. He's the best he could be in his field right now, and it just isn't as much as you. That's still success. That's still.
How much do his mugs sell for?
He makes less than you.
No. Do I respect what he's doing and trying to do?
Yeah, sure.
Then yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as he's on a path to doing more and making more. I don't respect people that do nothing. I actually find it repellent. The quickest way to turn me off is to have, and you can ask Bear, like he's had times at work where he's not putting it in and it literally affects our relationship and sex life.
That it does.
I'm just not sexually, I hit the light behind me. I'm not sexually interested in somebody I find a failure.
Yep.
Now that's another thing as well. What are like some grade A turnoffs? I think for anyone in general, what is things do you kind of want to avoid when you're getting involved with a new person?
Sexual incompatibility.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Well, you and I aren't sexually compatible, and it takes a great deal of work to make things work between us.
Right. So what do you mean by that?
So one of the things that I do is obviously communication is key in any relationship, whether you're in a relationship or getting into it. I actually have a questionnaire that I go through with any potential sexual partners. of trying to find out things that they're into, things that I'm into. It's something that we discuss. That way you can have clear communication, because first off the bat, like I said, I'm a female dominant. So getting even interested in somebody that also is a dominant it's an absolute no-go. Unless they're willing to be a switch.
I want somebody who's willing to take over. I'm the boss at work all the fucking time. My whole job, I actually understand why like Japanese businessmen want to be spanked.
Isn't that a bit of a stereotype though?
It really is, but go with me on that.
I'll go with
it's I am in control all the time. Every day, every decision, and everyone's job rests on me. If I fuck up, we aren't getting the project through. We are not getting paid. And in our job, you put months, sometimes 6-8 months, sometimes a year in before that project is done.
Okay.
And that money comes in. So if I fuck up, I have 15, 20 people that aren't getting paid.
Right.
So
and it's project to project.
That's it. And so, or if I choose the wrong project, that only goes for one season, which means we aren't getting syndication, which means we aren't getting that ongoing check. Now, I'm very good at my job, but it takes a lot of pressure and a lot of concentration. So I like when I can kind of come home and it's not my problem. Like, hey, what we're doing, I don't mind being like, I cook, I'm happy to do that. I like a very clean, I like OCD. I like a super clean environment. I don't mind cooking. I don't mind all of that, but I just at home do not want to be making those decisions. I do not want to, like, I don't know how Lex does it because she's a super control freak at work and at home. I don't know how she does both. Like, it would be exhausting to me because at home, I don't want to make those decisions. I liked you because you really were super aggressive. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, you sought me out, you pushed the relationship, you did all of the heavy lifting. Like genuinely all of the heavy lifting, and you impressed my friend, like you, and then stole her and made her your best friend. Dick.
Yeah, fist bump.
I guess good taste.
Hey, good job.
But
good job, team.
Bear starts spanking. Someone doesn't mess up at work. LOL. I do not want to be spanked. That's not what I'm saying. That's one of the he's into that. I'm not.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be spanked.
I just don't like anything that takes a lot of effort after work. So I'm exhausted. I like somebody else that takes control.
That's reasonable enough too.
So what is like your kink that would surprise everyone, Alexis? These juicy tubes are sticky. Okay. Well, what's something you're into that people would find different or unique? I like Yana Teehee.
I guess shibari, but that's not really
tying up.
What the hell is shibari?
It's tying people up with pretty knots.
You literally got me the book.
What?
You bought her the book, that tie-up bondage book, the Japanese art of shibari. So one thing I always tell people is Alexis likes to wear the penis in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Pegging.
That would not be something for everyone, I'm thinking.
No, it's not.
I just love the little smile you get before you ask that question.
I like to do it in front of guys that are into her, and you can see them like weighing. Am I willing to take a penis in the bottom to hang out with her?
And I love when we were on the double date and the guy got a completely, like, he was the most rude,
obnoxious
guy. He was just awful the entire night. And then Summer mentioned that I was a dame after he had already mentioned that he was going home, and then suddenly got interested.
Yeah, this is the same date the guy I was going out with. She tried to get to put a glad wrap around his head so he could kiss me.
I encouraged it.
I don't touch people. I'm afraid of.
Did it happen?
No, he would have suffocated.
That was the point.
He just was very smart.
What if he left what if he just meant like glad wrap here?
I still wasn't gonna gross.
He can glad wrap.
What about you?
Right there.
What is your kink? Apparently, glad wrap.
I suppose there's quite a few, but first of all, everyone I think has got a little bit of kink in them somewhere. But quite a few. I like to be in control. I like to run the show. I like to tell boss and order around. I like to see that the other person is willing to follow what I say. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to you. What?
See, that's red flag. That's like, all right, not the right person for this category.
Agreed. We are not the right people.
So we'll make it work. No, don't do that. Absolutely respect people's no's and boundaries. Don't ever. Actually, why don't we talk about that? How should people react to being told no or when they're given a boundary on something? What is an appropriate response?
One of the things every week people come in, the answer is follow the fucking boundary.
But I want to hear.
I'd like to remind everyone every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and free MMA. We swear because we care.
That we fucking do.
So a quick shout out, Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon in Palm Springs, California. Thank you for always making me red carpet ready. Lex, do you want to give the shout out to our hotel in Phoenix?
Embassy Suites by downtown Hilton.
Do you want to try that again? Did you have a stroke?
Embassy Suites by Hilton, downtown Phoenix, North.
Amazing. Congratulations. I am very sorry to the Embassy Suites that Alexis was your spokesman today. I'd also like to give a shout out to KM Extends. Thank you for my extensions. And Bombshell Tans. I do their red light therapy. I obviously don't tan because look at me and I have lupus. I'm going to let you all know, you always hear me say Renaissance MD. So Dr. Shazia is amazing. She does a lot of my work. We are going to be doing a TV show with her. So shout out to Renaissance MD. Thank you for burning his nipples.
Yes.
Back
to the question.
Back to the kink. Do you notice he's like, he had electrolysis done on his nipples.
It worked really, really well.
It really did. So what people ask every week is they ask about your kinks and how they work together. Mm-hmm. So the reason we went into this is that is the most common question people ask is what are your kinks and how do you deal with them? So what we're going to do, because I know we don't have a whole bunch of time here, is I'm going to ask about Lex's kinks. I'm going to ask about Bear's kinks, and I'm going to ask how you guys approach people. So let's do it this way, because what people look for every time we do this is a little more instruction. So Bear, what's a kink that you don't usually tell people about that you're into? And you too, Lex. Think about something I'm asking you both to be super open and super honest.
Okay. CNC.
I don't know what that is.
That is consensual non-consent.
Okay. How would you talk to a partner about that?
I would just say that's what I'm into. It's not day one.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Hi, can you please fart on my face? But no, God, this is gonna get clipped. No, but you go a little while.
Please to Bear's followers, please clip that and put that in his training videos and say that's what he wants.
Anyways,
you go Sniffy. There's your homework.
You probably have a couple of good interactions, or at least they're mostly positive. And then, if it comes up in topic, you say it. Or if it gets to a point where it's getting serious and it's something you can't go without, you have to say it.
So what to you would be consensual non-consent?
Exactly what I said. This person says, I agree to this action happening between this and this time on this and this day. And then I make the action happen.
That has never worked that way.
Well, it's in theory.
Okay, Alexis, what about you? What's something you're into you usually don't talk about?
Electroplay.
Okay. Shit. What is that and how does it work?
Specifically, it is incorporating electric shock or some sort into any scene.
It's like jumper cables to the nipples, right?
So it sounds like not necessarily. It's safe. I'm not like connecting it to a wall.
I'm going to psychoanalyze everyone here a little bit. So everything Alexis is into seems to be physical sensation and controlling the other person's physical sensation. And Bear seems to be into controlling the other person, period.
Yeah, I get that at work daily. So
yeah, it's the physical sensation. So do you find that hinders your relationships when you have people that say, don't want you to put jumper cables on their nipples?
That's not what electroplay is at all.
Or don't want to be surprise graped.
You can't say that on YouTube.
I said grape.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I said just surprise grape.
It didn't come across super well. Go ahead. She asked you first.
So people that don't want jumper cables on their nipples or surprise grape juice.
Like, anything can be augmented, but again, I mentioned this last time. There's compromise in any type of relationship, whether it's something that is just of the sexual nature or if it's an ongoing relationship. You learn to compromise if it's something ongoing, and if it's something that's short term and you're just hooking up, then see if that's something that you're willing to put up with just for some fun.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
What about you?
What was the question again?
What happens if somebody's not willing to get into surprise grape juice?
Oh, you don't do it. But that also implies that that's the wrong person for you. So you should probably move on from it to a different relationship.
I'm not a fan of that.
She should probably move on to a different relationship if it's just you specifically, not this situation, but like yours. Don't. Yeah, we're going close to like a decade in. We can't stop the train anymore. So I'm just saying, like,
yes, we can.
You guys who
that is not how any of this works.
You guys who still shush. Those of you out there still looking for your first time relationship, definitely if the person's not into what you're into, move on. Going to lead to unhappiness.
Have you guys dated someone that's not sexual on the same path as you? I like Yana. She's like, I'm helping. Have you guys dated? I know Alexis has. I know you have. So Alexis, you've dated, and I know you've dated women that were sexually dominant, and you've been sexually dominant.
It didn't work, obviously.
No, it did not. So what happens when you end up in that position? Alexis dated a guy that didn't like kink. You've dated women that were far more sexually dominant. So how did that work?
It didn't.
Very well said.
Is there a way to compromise then?
No, if somebody's absolutely against even trying anything, then it's not compromising. At that point, you are giving up something that is something that you are interested in, or it's something that's a part of you. Like, I don't agree with people embracing kink as their entire identity, because at the end of the day, you have your own personality. It's not about kink. But I am very much about embracing your kinks and exploring them. It doesn't have to become your personality, but it's not something that you should stray away from, because it is something that you enjoy at the end of the day.
I think the stray away from is a good point, because everyone has something. No matter what, if you become a sexually active person, you will find things you like that'll be different from someone else. And anything can be considered a kink, I think. It can be down to, like, I only like having intercourse on furniture, or extreme as electro play. Like, everyone's got a little bit of something no matter what. So if that person just isn't willing to work with you on it, like Alexis said here, like, they're not willing to actually compromise, they instead just want you to give up stuff, you probably just shouldn't go with it altogether.
I like guys that give up stuff. I like them that give up their money, give up their time.
There are people who have kinks to do that for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where do I find these people?
You don't.
The hell?
You're going to take all my money.
I know.
There you go.
And you give it to children to take care of your charity. Rude.
Well,
because he's socially conscious. Ugh.
You said socially conscious was a good thing to have.
It is. I'm just being pouty because I want more diamonds. The point is, so when you guys get into this, do you find this out at a young age? Do you figure it out? Is it ever evolving?
I think it's ever evolving. You find new things that you're into as you explore. So if you continue to explore, you're always going to come across new things, but also be open-minded to trying new things.
Where's your line? Where's your absolutely freaking not?
Urine, feces, and blood are major.
That's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good lines.
Or any permanent markings.
Well, what if I want to tattoo my name on his butt?
If he's into that.
No.
But there's like scarification. Like, that's not something that just permanent marks are completely off.
Yeah, that plays into the whole blood thing too. Just no. You want to, even with mine, where I'd imagine, like, okay, we set this time and day, that person would probably, I would have them instructions to prepare for such a thing, you know, or I would take precautions to avoid maybe having sharp objects in the room, having having a crowded space where things can get knocked over, people get hurt. Because I don't want that.
This sounds like a lot of work.
It's always work. Relationships are work.
What do you guys think about what happened to Armie Hammer? So I'm going to say that he was into the whole cannibalism CNC thing, the combo of the two.
It's a little bit far.
And his whole career was shut down because his text messages, he hadn't done anything illegal.
Right.
The worst thing he'd done was cheat on his wife. And I've heard like he's dark, he's creepy, like I've heard all that shit. But nobody ever talks about like he did something. He didn't Weinstein anyone from what I heard.
I think it is absolute bullshit. I don't care what the situation is. Don't kink shame. If they're not doing something that's illegal, if they're not touching, diddling kitties, if they're not...
that would be one I think people should be stabbed in the face.
If they're not hurting animals, like...
Michael Vick.
If it's something that is consensual, you're not doing something that's illegal, I don't think that it's something that an entire career should be canceled over. I think that also plays a great deal in...
We lost her.
We lost her. Is she coming back?
Apparently not. So
in the meantime, anyway. I'm going to play devil's advocate for your question then. There was a very, very big streamer named Dr. Disrespect, and he was expelled from Twitch and suspended. His deal with them was cut. Everything. He was the most famous streamer 2020. They cut him because they found that he was messaging a minor on their Whisper app and attempted to meet up with her. Legally speaking, he got cleared of anything because he didn't legally do anything wrong.
No,
but
no.
I'm not done. Hold on. You got to hear this. I have a point. But morally, what he did was abhorrent. And that's why they kicked him entirely.
It is illegal to message a minor. It is a crime. So I don't know why he didn't go to jail. Mm-hmm. It is illegal. And so you'll know, you see this on To Catch a Predator all the time. They're like, I didn't do anything. It was just talking. Well, that is a crime.
But they showed up. That shows a level of
It doesn't matter. Even without it, it's a crime.
Yeah.
Messaging a minor with sexual intent is a crime. Basically, your dude didn't get convicted.
Yes.
For whatever reason. It may have been state to state. It may have been international, whatever. But he did commit a crime. And a lot of companies have what's called a morality clause.
Yes.
Which means you can't behave in a certain way or you can't do something.
So maybe Armie Hammer's company had that morality clause.
Well, here's the thing. He was cut from Hollywood as a whole. We do not have a morality clause. Like literally, Alexis and I work in Hollywood. You work in Hollywood. You're kind of slut.
I'm absolutely not skeezy. Where did that come from?
Back me up here, Lex.
Yeah, you're skeezy.
Define skeezy.
Well...
Fair.
We
will discuss this later.
Do we want to list your sexual interests, the number of women you have been unfaithful to, the number of women you have been unfaithful with?
Hold on,
the number of women
in the entertainment business, I have done absolutely nothing skeezy.
So I'm not saying you didn't grow up and clean up your act. I appreciate it. You've become a very good partner for that reason, and so you'll know this is shit before my time. I'm simply saying.
Anyways,
if you pick up a used condom off the ground, you get what you get.
Does that say more about you or me?
No, I'm kidding. I love you. But all of that aside, you really are still gross though. But I had you tested twice. Twice before I do anything. Twice.
Yep.
Anyway,
but I get tested regularly anyways because of the fighting thing. So it's
the point is Alexis. So in Alexis's case, like by social standards, she's highly promiscuous. I live vicariously through her. She's been quite boring lately. More booty, please, Lex.
More time, please.
It's got to be an offense when your boss is like, "Hey, I need you to have more sex so I can hear about it."
I live vicariously through Alexis. I have no life. I work all the time. The point is.
Unfortunately, me too at this time.
Take some time off. Go get laid. Do you find that social standards are difficult? You both had casual moments. You both have a similar history. Women are obviously judged more harshly than men for it. What do you guys think about that?
What do I think about women being judged more harshly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. How about the woman actually speaks first on this? Go ahead.
That would be a good idea. Thank you for not mansplaining it.
I didn't mansplain. Okay.
I think that at this point it is what it is. Like we have so many things that are being taken away from women on a consistent basis, like birth control, Roe versus Wade, like pretty soon it's gonna be um a woman's right to vote. Like I know that's a bit extreme. Pardon?
Just Pearly Things wants to get rid of that.
Yeah. But we have so many things that are being taken away. I don't believe that a woman should have to explain what her body count is.
What would you do if a guy asked that? So I know, like, that's not something Bear and I really discussed at all. It's not anyone's business. Now I will say, I had very few sexual partners, very few, and I'd had bad experiences. So I do have to explain it coming into a relationship, because I know when you tried to get into it, I crawled out of my skin. Like, it was not a good experience. And you stopped and you were like, are you okay? What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
And you were incredibly patient and careful with me because of those experiences. And that has a negative effect. But my lack of sexual partners is almost deified in society, and it comes from trauma, where a healthy sexual appetite in a woman is considered a negative.
Mm.
Do you think there's a way for people socially to move past that?
I think that's where education comes into play. And I think that it's when we need to separate religion, because we're also in a country that is highly religious.
Yeah.
Over sexualized.
Yeah.
And has a lack of education.
I think all that's
and
quite.
So we're no longer, teaching sex ed.
Yeah.
You have now the whole thing of abstinence is being preached on a consistent basis without any actual sexual base on, hey, use a fucking condom.
Wait till you're emotionally and physically ready.
Yeah.
So something I'll say, when you deal with someone that has trauma, people say that trauma is is what causes kink. For anyone that knows out there, it's not. Just FYI, this is from someone with a lot of it. How do you guys deal with a partner that has been, I know you've had to deal with me, you've dealt with other people that have been through trauma. Lex, you've dealt with people that have been through trauma. How do you deal with a partner that has been through trauma?
Communication. If you don't know something's going to trigger something, then you don't know where your boundaries are. If you have an open communication and talk about, look, these are things that set you off, ask what their triggers are. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. But if you see somebody that goes completely deer in headlights and they're just staring out, clearly they're not okay. So use common sense.
And I think that applies with kink as well. If you see someone respond that way, what they're uncomfortable, stop. What about you? We're actually at the end of the show, so I'll let you wrap up. What about you? How do you deal with someone that has trauma?
Yeah, just listen. That's the bottom line. If you don't know what you don't know, if they can't tell you, that's on them. I agree with that. You should look at them and have some kind of visual cues if something is wrong. Like, clearly no one just sits there frozen still if they're enjoying themselves. So just some common sense is great, but also if you talk, listen's more important than talking at that point. If they don't bring it up, if they don't think to ask, and you do something that freaks them out, a little bit of compassion afterwards too doesn't help. A little bit of empathy.
And remember, Alexis is a huge fan of surprise anal.
That is not even a thing.
I'd like to remind everyone to please follow us on TuneIn BTS. Make sure you're following Alexis on Kink4Dummies. Thank you guys for joining us this week. Next week, we will be on with Make It Avalon.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Ironically, this week, we're on with the Dominatrix. Next week, we're on with the guy with the dick song. This is Behind the Scenes. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.